Now, I'm not being rhetorical on that. On several occasions, this woman, in public comments, has revealed her policy preferences for denying our people their constitutional rights while calling for violence against anyone who opposes her thuggish tactics. Case in point, here's Mad Maxine describing Republicans in the House.
We have these right-wing conservatives who are, we have domestic terrorists in the House of Representatives. These people are extremists. And so I'm not optimistic that that's the way it's going to happen until the people of this country really decide that they don't want it and they're not going to elect people who act in the fashion that they act.
Gee, I wonder why we're so divided. She regards her countrymen as terrorists, but has no coarse words for America's real enemies. As stated, Waters is a left-wing extremist who advocates anti-American policies. As a collective, her caucus continually supports similar actions and policies. For example, 65 of Mad Maxine's fellow Democrats voted against investigating the harm being done to our country in the West by the Communist Chinese. In other words, Democrats voted in support of a racist, genocidal slave state. Now, if Republicans are terrorists, as Waters claims, then can't we, the people, rightfully call Democrats traitors, Benedict Arnolds, or Judas? Americans are endangered by Democrats and Republicans who support them. I have a load of truth bombs to drop in today's preamble. Democrats have been demonizing Republicans for decades with unfounded accusations and inflammatory language like you just heard. The GOP leadership has rarely fought back, surrendering their backbones and our nation to these corrupt, vile, and dishonest people in the process. This has led to great harm to our country and may be instrumental in wiping us from existence. More on that in a minute. A member of the fraud squad, Ilhan Omar, along with many of her fellow squad members, has a long history of anti-Semitism. She also has a long history of hating America. This is why GOP Speaker Kevin McCarthy seeks to ban her from the Foreign Relations Committee. Most Americans can agree that it is wrong to have a person who hates Jews and America on such a committee. Kevin McCarthy was asked about this on Spicer and Company yesterday.
I think people have to look at this. We're not like Democrats. We're not removing them from their entire committees. They can serve on different committees, but what we're talking about is foreign affairs. And remember, when you're talking about foreign affairs, what did Congresswoman Omar say? She said on 9/11, something happened that day. She equated the U.S. military to the equal to Hamas and the Taliban. She questioned that Americans only like Israel because it's all about the Benjamins.
Okay, to be accurate, Ilhan Omar said some people did something? That was how this woman described the attacks that this nation endured on 9/11 when radicalized Islamic fundamentalist terrorists killed over 3,000 Americans. So, like most of our fellow Americans who supported throwing Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell off the intelligence committees after they weaponized intelligence against we Americans, most common sense folks support preventing a Jew hater and an anti-American from having power on the Foreign Affairs Committee. But not all Republicans support that. There is a relevant number of Republicans who see no problem with a woman like Ilhan Omar being on the Foreign Relations Committee. In fact, Omar has sought to distance herself from her myriad anti-Semitic comments by claiming she really didn't know her Jew-hating tropes were actually offensive to Jews. You know, that's kind of like somebody saying they didn't know the N-word was offensive to black people. Now, if we take her at her word, can we afford to have someone that clueless on the Foreign Relations Committee? Now, for the record, I don't believe Omar is as dumb as she claims she is. I find her comments and her view of my country and her policies to be decidedly anti-freedom and anti-American. Further, it is my firm belief that we as Americans are called on to oppose her brand of evil wherever we find it, abroad or at home. As you all know, 18 Senate Republicans and 9 House Republicans, of which only 2 of those House Republicans remain in office, thankfully, they voted for that disgraceful, un-American $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill. Now, aside from representing a complete bastardization of what once was a transparent budget process, abandoned by lazy legislators, the omnibus fully funded 87,000 armed goose-stepping IRS agents to target America's middle class, you and me, while simultaneously ensuring no money could be used to stop all that lawlessness at the southern border. Lawlessness that is harming our people. A Republican who gets up every day trying to figure out ways to sell out this nation to Democrats and their foreign allies is one of our greatest threats. A four-star general is predicting that the United States will be at war with communist China by the year 2025. As you might be aware, China has been using and pushing their profits, gifted to them by American politicians, to build missiles, bombs, and bullets to kill Americans. While our politicians have been busy doing everything to our people that is forbidden in the Constitution, they have been neglecting their responsibilities outlined in that Constitution. Not only has American-funded battery technology flown right out the door to China because our government is too big to be managed, advanced microchips have also been allowed into China's hands because Democrats, their GOP allies, and the deep state are too busy targeting us instead of protecting us. While China builds, Democrats and their GOP allies are busy tearing our armed forces down. Ironically, using the China virus, the Democrats purged tens of thousands of highly trained and patriotic fighters from the U.S. military. Even though the vaccine mandate has been lifted, Joe Biden made sure those with a conscience remain out of the military. Now, why would Democrats want to purge conscientious patriots from the military? That aside, their expulsion has weakened our ability to defend this nation. Instead of promoting unit cohesion and lethality, Joe Biden and the Democrats have turned the U.S. military into a woke petri dish. Recruitment has plummeted to lows we've not seen in decades as leftists push the LGBTQ, ABCDEFG, cultural Marxism, and critical race theory racism, all in an effort to make our fighting forces less formidable. Divided. This has led even some Democrats who still remain loyal to our nation to observe that America's lack of ability to stand against our enemies like China, Russia, and Iran is a, quote, huge problem. Oh, you think? And where are Mitch McConnell, John Cornyn, and other milquetoast Republicans? They are tripping all over themselves to fully fund Joe Biden's woke anti-American agenda with your money. I imagine that many of you are wondering, man, how did we get this far? One thing is for certain, GovEd has nurtured and perpetuated this national suicide we appear to be headed toward. It's beyond debate that an educated population would ever elect a guy like Joe Biden. But, quiet Americans, they are to blame for all of this as well. For too long, we bought into this myth of trust me government. And look at what these shrubs have done with our trust. There are now people in and out of government who openly confess that America might not be able to defend itself from a communist enemy like China. Have any of you stopped to think what our defeat might mean? What it means for our way of life? What it means for our liberty, security, and prosperity? What it means for the future of your children? Have any of you stopped to think about that? And in my opinion, that's why this program and Newsmax are being censored by AT&T's DirecTV. They really don't want us getting the word out, do they?